Welcome to the weekly show. I'm so happy you are here. Today's topic is going to be about ghosting. And how appropriate of a topic is that, given that it is almost Halloween? Ghosting. We hate it when we get ghosted. You don't want to get ghosted by a friend. You don't want to get ghosted by someone you're dating. But why does it hurt so much when you get ghosted by the media? When you have pitched and gotten somebody interested and they're right there ready to talk about your client and then they're ghosting you. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and really walk through, first of all, that it happens to the best of us, getting ghosted by the media. It stinks, right? We are going to talk about 4 killer strategies. There might be a little bit of a Halloween theme going on here. 4 killer strategies for dealing with silent media contacts, how you can refine your pitches to make them irresistible, and when to follow up with and when to move on from that contact. Sometimes you just gotta wash your hands of it and move on. So, okay, you got ghosted. It may be spooky season, but there's nothing spookier than a journalist ghosting you in the middle of the pitching process. We all know that feeling. You and the media contact that you've been developing, you've gotten into a groove regarding your latest pitch. You're emailing kind of like every other day, facilitating Q&A with a client or sample send, and then they go radio silent. And a few days go by, no new emails. Maybe you followed up and you're like, hi, just checking in. You should have heard from them by now, right? But we tend to panic because we're like, oh my God, I told the client I wanted this to happen. Don't give in to that instinct to panic. Getting ghosted by a media contact, it is scary, but it's a situation every single PR pro has to navigate. Every single one of us. Even those of us who've been doing this almost 2 decades. It happens to everyone. So here are my best strategies for dealing with getting ghosted by your media contacts, no matter where you are in the pitching process. And the first thing you need to keep in mind is do not take ghosting personally. It might feel like a flat out rejection, particularly in dating, right? It's that kind of, in dating, it's that feeling of like, oh, it's not you, it's me. But it's not like that in PR. You have to think of it from a journalist perspective, that they have a lot on their plate. Your pitch may not be top of mind for them. Obviously, media contacts, they have their own personal lives, and something outside of the office may prevent them from checking their emails for a few days. I do hope you're using a tracker so that you can see when it was looked at, how many times, when the last time they looked at it was. And it helps to know that they've actually seen your last email and it hasn't gone to spam or something like that. But we know that there's so much going on in the world and a particularly crazy busy news cycle. The priorities may have shifted since the last time that they reached out regarding your pitch. Journalism is extremely hectic these days and deadlines are shifting all the time. So they may have taken the story that they're interested in and they know their readers will love, but they've set it on the back burner for a while as they take care of something that's maybe breaking news or a more timely, pressing story. So give your media contact time to respond on their own terms. If a ton of urgent work gets dumped on their desk or they have a family emergency, there's people that have family all over the world that have serious situations that they're dealing with and they're concerned, it will end up delaying all of their work, and they don't have the time or even the requirement to let all of their contacts know that their stories are bumped or pushed or whatever. So don't take this as a personal rejection. Give your contact the time and space they need. And hopefully, in most cases, when the story is interesting and they're open, they're wanting to feature it, they will get back to you eventually. So you can also check their social media pages for updates just to kind of see if they're focused on something else, if they're sharing something that gives some insight into what is happening in their world. Maybe they let their community online know that they're taking time away from the office and share that on social. A lot of our journalist friends have Substack. So make sure that if that particular contact, that journalist or freelancer has Substack, that you're subscribed so that you can see their personal updates there too. That may be the only place that they're kind of sharing a little insight into their personal world and why your pitch may be delayed at the moment or your follow-up. The second thing is you want to kind of like spread out or space out your follow-up. So if your media contact suddenly goes silent and you're in these final stages of the pitching process, hit pause on the panic button. Your instinct may be to reach out ASAP and like keep following up, like, hey, just checking in. But take a second to breathe. And the reminder here is we cannot take ghosting personally. There are tons of things that could be taking your media contacts' attention away right now. So give them space and instead focus that energy, that genuine commitment to ensuring that your story is aligned with their publication. You know it's a good fit. That feeling of like, this is awesome. You know, I really, like, you were interested, like, where'd you go? Use that energy and that time instead of following up consistently, like over and over. Use that to maybe rework your follow-up strategy just a bit. So give your media contact a few days of silence before you reach out again. And you know, when we work with our clients to come up with ideas or help with a launch, there's always some lead time that we build in because we want to have stories and features come out aligned with the timing of a launch or something that's, you know, timely and relevant with like the seasons or the news cycle. So there should be some runway, some lead time that's already built up in there. This is one of those reasons we do that. So when you do reach out again, include a personal check-in to make sure that they're doing okay. Especially now, our journalist friends have let us know that they are affected by the news cycle just as much as all of us are. They're feeling it. A lot of times they're feeling it even more because they're covering things urgently and getting access. You know, they don't get to really filter all of the things that they're seeing and reporting on. They have to really be exposed to all of it. And it might be heavy. It might take a toll. So you want to reach out, acknowledge maybe that this time off is intentional if they've let you know on Substack, or that there are a lot of things going on in the world that they might be affected by. So you want to acknowledge that. And I scrolled and then I forgot where I was. Give me just 1 second. You know, acknowledge, like, how are you? And kind of check in, make sure they're doing okay. And if there's a time limit surrounding your pitch, like maybe there is this on the calendar, the date's coming, there's a launch or an event or something, then reiterate that in your follow-up. And then you want to sit back for a few days before you go through the follow-up process again and check your lead time to see how much time you actually have for the follow-up. And if there's still no response, your media contact hasn't given any updates on social, you're getting down to the wire on your pitch, and it's kind of like now or never, then it is time to move on then, because you don't want to, like, you know, put all your eggs in one basket and wait for this contact to get back to you, and then you just don't hear anything. So at that time, when you're coming up on those deadlines for launches and you're hearing nothing, then it's time to move on. So the third tip I have is to read through that pitch again. If you find yourself getting ghosted right at the start of the pitching process, it may be that pitch itself and not the media contact. So keep in mind, this is always the fundamentals. It's not going to change, you know, shifting media landscape, all the things, the fundamentals still apply. Your contacts want to read relevant, timely, targeted pitches, truly newsworthy in your niche. And if you are sending those generic spray and pray emails, pitches that are vague, generic press releases or media alerts, you are not going to get the results you're hoping for. You are not getting ghosted. You are just not putting out a good pitch that is hitting all of those checkpoints. That is what media contacts are looking for. So every pitch you send out, it should be targeted, which means personalized. Tailor your pitch to the journalist and their publication, the beat, the audience. You should also make sure your pitch is truly fresh and not something they've covered before. If it is something they've covered before, your take on it is new. It's different. It's a new spin. It's new data that would impact the way they covered it the first time. It's a new player in the industry that's doing something different. It's not a total retread. Just because they've done it before does not mean they're going to write about something exactly the same again. This is something you have to let your clients know, because a lot of times they'll say, wait a minute, I was reading New York Times and they talked about this company, and so they should want to talk about us. Well, if that company is doing what you're doing and there's not a lot of difference, why would they also talk about your client if there's nothing totally different, new, like truly, genuinely distinct? So keep all of that in mind. If your clients are like, what about us? You need to inform them the way the media works. And then you come up with some ideas. Okay, like, we know they're interested in this topic. How can we put a spin on it that is different? Make sure your pitch is truly fresh, not a retread. So take some time to really work on that pitch. And, if you're not getting traction, that's all the proof you need that the strategy, the angle, whatever, it's not working. So we always talk about just focusing on the basics. Make sure you have the basics down. You might also be reaching out to the wrong contacts. You have to double check that. The media landscape is changing, shifting. We have a lot of contacts that are moving around. Maybe they're switching up their roles. They're taking on more. One of their colleagues might have moved on. Maybe they've gone freelance. So, maybe the contact that you're reaching out to switched beats, or they're working at a new publication. Maybe there's a round of layoffs and they have gone freelance. You need to double check your media contacts. Look at their social, check their LinkedIn, and check the publications page to confirm their role, because they move around all the time. We have found that they are updating LinkedIn pretty quickly after a change. So go double, triple check. If you're getting ghosted, just check to see if that contact is still at the publication you're pitching. Maybe their email is turned off and it's not getting a forward or whatever. So if you find a contact that is better suited to your pitch, reach out to them instead and see if you're truly sure that the idea you're submitting is timely, relevant, the pitch is targeted and tailored to that publication, and you're like, this is really good content that they should be interested in, double check that you are pitching the right contact. And now I have for you the final kind of approach if you're getting ghosted. This is where we say, okay, it's not working with this contact. You want to maybe go back and refine your pitch angle. So you could be sending out a perfectly formatted pitch that's got all the personal details your contact would want, but it's just not newsworthy enough for them to write about. It might be time to go back to the drawing board and get your team together, get our pitching community together. Okay. Get your team together, get our community together, and go back to the drawing board. Do a brainstorming session. This is one of the huge values of a community like ours, is really getting a fresh perspective on something, because you're so close to it. You might not have that that perspective, that distance, or something not personal allows you to have. So somebody can come in and have just a completely fresh perspective on something when you take a step back, and they can come and look at it, or you're looking at it with fresh eyes, and you ask yourself a few questions like, what is even newsworthy about this event or this product or the idea that I'm sharing with them? And what makes it unique or innovative? And be careful of these like buzzwords, but it's kind of a litmus test for you. Like, is this actually totally different than something else that's out there? Does it employ some new technology, a new approach? What is different and unique about this? Does my current pitch truly communicate how important this product or event is? Like, is that newsworthiness adequately conveyed? And also ask yourself, has this already been covered by the media for similar products? And if the answer is yes, are you really doing enough to help make your client stand out from the crowd? Is that distinction, that difference, that newsworthiness adequately conveyed? You're the one writing the pitch. You need to make sure that you're communicating exactly what you want and need to communicate to get your media contacts on board. I just reviewed a pitch from a team member for a client launching brand new products. It's a series of products that we have been talking to them about for almost a year. And to us, having these conversations over and over with them, it's really clear what these products do. But when I reviewed the pitch, there was a lot of talk about the technology and the way that it's new and nothing like this has been done before. But I looked at it from a perspective of someone who knew nothing about this, and it was like, well, what does this technology even do? Why is it important that there are, micro, like currents or light waves in this range, like a spectrum? Like, what does that even do? Why do I care? Right? And that wasn't conveyed in the pitch. It was very simple. Like, these 3 little mini devices were launching all at once. They hit targeted areas to help fight signs of aging, like sagging skin, wrinkles. It'll help with acne blemishes. They're like little targeted LED patches. So reading it, the technology was obvious to me. The fact that you could stick them on your skin, you only needed to use it for 10 minutes, that was obvious to me. But what did it do? Why was this important? Why was 10 minutes alone relevant? Like, who cares? Like 10, 20 an hour, like what is it even doing for me? And it was just a simple little sentence to clarify that these help targeted problems. The reason you would pick an acne patch versus an entire acne mask is because you have occasional breakouts. You don't have consistent acne. So that is the use case for this targeted patch. And that wasn't clear. So sometimes you're so close to it that you don't have that perspective that somebody just learning about this for the first time is going to say, oh, I get it. Yeah, I see that. Sometimes we're just too close to it. Yeah, I get it, And so sometimes you have to look at something and say, if I knew nothing about this, is it obvious what I'm trying to convey? So, have to communicate that. Tweak that existing pitch as much as you need to make it more interesting, more clear, more newsworthy to your media contacts. They want to provide readers with valuable stories, and you need to just make sure that you're giving them that foundation. Maybe you're too swamped in the technology, in that nitty-gritty, and then you lose the overall story or the perspective. Because when things have new technology and there's something the client's really proud of because it's never been done, it's never been that precise, it's never been as targeted or as effective, you're getting into the why. This is amazing because look at all the tech we've packed into this. And it's like, but why does that even matter? It particularly happens a lot in technical stories because you're trying to simplify those technical aspects so much that you tend to forget that simple, what even am I expecting here? What's the transformation? Like, why does it matter that this technology is different? See what I'm saying? See what Nicola is saying? So, you have to make sure that the edited pitch is still communicating your client's message and that all of the claims you're making can be proven, particularly if something is, you're making claims about transformations in skin or, things like that, there has to be certain language you can use. With my client, they happen to be FDA cleared to talk about reduction in fine lines and wrinkles and skin elasticity and things like that. They are allowed to make those claims, which is yet another thing that makes them very compelling to the media. But if your client can't stand behind certain claims, you need to make sure that you're talking about it, because if the media starts sharing the verbiage you're using and it's not proven, if it's not FDA cleared or backed up by independent clinical trials or peer-reviewed studies, and you're giving that verbiage to the media, but it's not actually studied and proven, then you're going to be in trouble. You're setting them up to write about something and make claims that you're not authorized, legally or proven by independent research to make. So make sure the message has claims that have been proven, and do not ever exaggerate for the sake of landing a story, because that will backfire on you big time. The final thing here I would say is consider adding a new element to your pitch to get it on your contact's radar. So does your client have an in-house expert? This has been a huge tactic for us that's worked very well. You can call on an in-house expert for the story, turn it into an interview, and then they happen, like you're offering this expert that is valuable to that media contact. So instead of just talking about your client's product or their business and the problems it solves, you have an expert that they can turn to for quotes. They have credentials to be able to contribute something to the story that answers hard questions. Like I've told you guys with my breast pump client, we have lactation consultants and doulas that we're lending out to the media all the time. We're offering them as experts to share insight into all kinds of questions that new moms have about breastfeeding and giving birth and post-birth care. And another client of ours has a baby monitor. We have a sleep consultant that talks about sleep stuff, and they tend to work the client's product into that. So turn your idea into an interview, offer an expert that they can use, that they can quote, they can use them to answer questions that the readers might be wondering, and turn it into an interview. And you can also really zoom into how your client's product solves one specific issue for their customers, or kind of go, you can do like a, micro focus, or do like that 30,000 foot perspective and really highlight the big picture impact that they might be having on their niche. So there's other ways to go about it. Of course, we said like ghosted, and that's this big headline. We're trying to play it into Halloween, but it's really about refining the idea. If it seems to have gone stale, being on top of it. When I first started and I had my very first team member, she would say to me all the time, I'd say, well, what happened with this publication? She'd be like, I don't know. She ghosted. Or what did she say? There was one thing she would say all the time. Vanished. She would say, I don't know. They vanished. And I'm like, are you putting up missing person posters? Like, what do you mean they vanished, right? It's your job to unvanish them. Check social. Where are they? Are they on a trip? Are they still working? Business as usual. Like, we can't go to the client and just say, oh, the editor vanished. She would say all the time, they vanished. And it's like, unvanish them, figure out what it's going to take to, you had a responsive contact, get them back on the hook, rework the pitch, make it interesting to them again, go to somebody else at their publication, just find the ways to either make it really interesting from a singular problem your client's product or service solves, or their experience that they're sharing will solve a problem for the readers or inspire them or whatever on a very small level, or go zoom out and highlight that big picture impact that they are having on their niche. So 4 steps to help you overcome getting ghosted. 1, don't take it personally. It's not like dating. Journalists are busy. Have some, empathy for them. 2, spread out that follow-up so you're not like, hey, hi, remember me? It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Like, you want to spread out the follow-up so that you're reworking a strategy, using that time to kind of figure out how to make it relevant to them again. Revisit the pitch, look at it with fresh eyes, make sure it truly communicates something that is of value and newsworthy. And if it doesn't, get some fresh eyes on it. And number 4, refine that pitch angle and make sure that these are the questions that I would love for you to ask yourself when you take a step back. I'm going to post them in the comments here. What's newsworthy about the product or the event? What is unique or innovative? Does that pitch truly communicate how important the product and event is? Has the angle already been covered? And if it has, how is yours distinct and different? How can you then make your client stand out from the crowd? And those are the questions you can ask yourself. So if you are ready to make your pitches irresistible to journalists, I appreciate you guys. Be well, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you real soon.